Hey, how you doing? Wolf here. This isn't exactly a Wolf's Watch. This is first adventure. We're going to be doing live from the trail adventure talks with you. So this is one of, let's call it one of 52. What do you think? An adventure a week? How's that sound? Well, today we are hiking in the Three Sisters Preserve. Hiked all the way down to the bottom. So you see back here, the top, where these houses are. That's where I started about 45 minutes ago. Hang with me here. We're going to spin a little bit so I can show you some of the trail side. Sorry, I don't have my selfie stick yet. It's on order. Broke. Quickly broke my selfie stick. It failed the durability test, as Stealth calls it. Stealth's wife always says everything you got has to go through the durability test. So that's down below. Cars you can hear in the background are coming around the southern tip of Palos Verdes Peninsula here in Los Angeles County. So here's some of the trail that I just came up, and it was a huff. And it's steep enough for about 150 feet that even when leaning back a little bit, you can almost touch the ground in front of you. It's that kind of steep. So I stopped here, like a turnout for trail riders. Bicycles right through here. So this is cutting across the bottom of the hill. I actually started down here where these houses are, where the trail down ended. Now I'm cutting across to take a really steep trail back up. So check this out. Here's the trail up. There's part of it behind me. Gonna end up back up. Let's see, how do we do this? Back up there at the top eventually. Now let me show you what I was just talking about, and we'll get to something a little more substantive here in just a second. But here's the top of the trail. So you can see what I'm standing on is not exactly flat ground, but it's way closer than that. Let's see if I can get my head to the other side. No, you have to play with the camera more, so I don't want to waste your time or mine. What are we doing? Okay, so back here is where the trail drops off. So that's about flat. That's looking down. Come with me here. Sorry about the spin. But, whoa. So now it's starting to get steep. But here's the thing. From where I'm standing, can you see the trail down below? Yeah, down there. That's where this least is. We just came up that. Very good for the hamstrings, good for the glutes. And this is maybe 15% of the way up. It's going to be a good hike. I wanted to talk with you from here, though. It's a good place to catch my breath, see how I'm doing. But I got to watch the ground here a little bit so I don't slip, because it's a bit of a tumble. So, you know, I've been hearing some rabbits in the bush, seeing some lizards. No snakes. Got out later than I wanted to, because I wasn't sure how warm it would be. There's the Pacific Ocean in the background. Catalina Island would be back over my shoulder there in the mist, about 25 miles out. No rattlesnakes, fortunately. But I wanted to get out earlier. If it gets warm, the rattlesnakes like to come out and sun themselves. It's not that hot. Plus, I've been surprised. There's been a fair number of people on the trail, and always gives a heads up on if there's any snakes. And yeah, there are rattlesnakes here. I've seen them, not all the time, but I don't know what the years I've been hiking out in this specific area. Seen four up close and personal. Hey, just had somebody click a like. I'm still learning how to read the comments on cell phone size when broadcasting, so sorry I'm not sharing your comment, otherwise I would. We'll get that figured out. So this is just the third live over the cell phone. Thank you, StreamYard, for making this possible with the latest rounds of upgrades over the past month or so. See, a lot of stuff happening during the Great Shutdown. You know, people were improving their processes. What are you doing? How are you stretching yourself? Because really, that's my theme out here. I come out here to connect. Come out here, it's a form of meditation. Once in a while, if I'm going on a really long hike, I'll bring earbuds, and we'll use those to listen to podcasts. I really don't listen to music. I'm either listening to something educational, or I'm listening to the wind. This is nice. Messes up the microphone, but it's nice to hear, you know, the trees and the shrub rustling, and also helps with hearing critters in the brush and hearing that particular song you don't want to hear from the Rattlesnakes when they're getting a little testy. But so do that to connect, to meditate. Believe it or not, for me, physical activity helps clear the head, clears the body too. Nothing like perspiring, nothing like sweating like a hog for a good hour while out in the brush. Try it sometime if you don't. What helps you connect? What helps you reset, right? So that's part of my reset. Connect, meditate, clear the head, push the body beyond. So coming up that stretch that I was showing you just a minute ago, I got about 2/3 of the way up and I was huffing, and I looked at the top and I could see where it flattens off. And I know there's a plateau, and I thought, you know what? Nobody told me to stop here. I've got more in the tank. And I've heard it said, I have to look up the references for you. And I heard through, I believe it was Darren Hardy was talking about a Marine drill instructor that he had talked to and done some work with, that coached him that when you think you've put everything you've got out on the field, you're only at 40% of what's really there. So think about that. So I had that in my head, coming up there and going, yeah, I could stop and catch my breath. The muscles weren't giving out like they've done on this trail before. And that's because I've been working on my physical conditioning during the Great Shutdown. And hey, if this is getting bad on the video quality, I apologize for that. I can't see it from this side. Yesterday's broadcast that we did was horrible on the second half. I apologize for that. Did some adjustments on the camera to ratchet down the resolution, so it should still look good, and I'm hopeful that will fix the transmission problem that we were having. Anyway, back to what I was saying about pushing at it. I thought, you know what? I get up to the top, I'll stop, catch my breath. We'll do the broadcast that I planned on doing, which is this right now, and then we'll attack the next rest of it, because this is not even maybe 15%. It couldn't be 25%. Be closer to 15% of the way up to the top. And it's about physically pushing. It's conditioning. This is not a walk. It's not aerobic. It's cardio. So it's like go until I think I can't go anymore, and then push it. And you got to learn how to listen to your body, though, so you don't hurt yourself. Right? This isn't a suicide run. This is not trying to injure myself by pushing too hard or ignoring when my body says, "Hey, you know what? The heart rate's been way too high for too long. We need to stop and catch a breath here." Or when the muscles are fatigued and going, look, you're not going to be able to hike out because you're not going to have anything left. But it's heeding that advice from the Marine Corps drill sergeant that said, when you think you've put everything you've got and you've got nothing left in the tank, you're only 40% of the way through what you really have. So what I want to do is get into that second half, not just beyond the 40%, but at least into that second half to stretch. Why do you do that? And why would you do that? If you competed in athletics at any point, formal competition in athletics, it's huge. Running the now it's the 400 meter. It was a 440 yard, 440 yard sprint. When I ran it, I was like, ran longer. Learned that from sprinters, and a coach that I had that taught me. He's going, look, he was coaching the sprinters. They're running 100 yard, 200, 220 yard. So they ran farther than that in practice. So for the 440, I ran farther than that. Pushed it closer to 500-600. Went down the last straightaway because one lap. That sprint is one full lap of an athletic track, and it starts in the middle of one straight. So you go all the way around, 2 turns, and come back to the middle of that second straightaway. So what I would do is go the rest of that straightaway to the turn. Right. So it made the race easier to run because I was used to running farther. My body was conditioned to go farther. Then I hear Bo Eason tell the story of Jerry Rice during football practice with the 49ers. Every time that Joe Montana would pass to Jerry Rice, and this is Bo Eason's story, you got to look Bo Eason up. You want to hear this from the master himself. But he talked about how every time that Jerry Rice touched the ball in practice, he put 100% plus. He pushed to do his best plus in practice, and every time he touched the ball, he would not stop running till he got in the end zone. So he conditioned his body and his mind, right? His physical or physicality, as I've learned from Bo Eason, his physicality and his psychology were trained that whenever he gets his hands on the ball, he ends up in the end zone one way or the other. And he's considered to be the greatest of all time in terms of players in the NFL. So think about that. How are you doing that with what you do? Is that plane doing some acrobatics in the background there? not going to rotate the camera for you because I'd be looking straight up almost into the sun at this point in the day. So how are you doing that? How do you stretch? If you're not stretching, how can you ask your team to stretch? How can you coach them, guide them, lead them into doing more than they thought they could individually and more as a team than they thought they could do collectively, and also guiding them to mentors and coaches outside of the team that can help them get farther. If you're not doing that, you need to set that example. John Maxwell teaches that, right? And model the way, as do other leadership experts. Are you modeling the way on that? And plus, if you're not, try it. And don't just do it once. Do it for 90 days. Stretch yourself daily. And if you don't one day, don't worry about it. Do the next day. See what happens. Then check back with me in 90 days. So I'm going to attack the rest of this hill and enjoy the sound of the plane acrobatics, the wind off the Pacific Ocean, hopefully not the rattlesnakes. And got I have a refresh drink that I brought with me. Something I learned from Tim Ferriss. Got some BCAAs. Look that up, BCAA, to help with the muscles as a refresh under heavy duress like this. And then it still would just barely be lunchtime. Got a lot to do today. How about you? So this is adventure 1 of 52. Thanks for coming along. Hit the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and come on, man. Join the adventure. We're having an adventure. How about you?